I was 8 months pregnant when I pushed open the bedroom door and saw Ethan and my stepsister, Chloe, entangled on our marital bed. Rage convulsed through me, yet he couldn't even be bothered to pull up the covers. Anyway, you're just having a daughter, a drain on resources. Chloe said she could give me a son. Martha, my mother-in-law, rushed in, shoved me aside, and shielded Ethan. That's just how men are. Just tolerate it. As long as you give birth to my grandson, this family will still be yours. I looked at their smug and repulsive faces and suddenly laughed. I walked into the hospital and immediately scheduled an induced abortion. One day, I came home early from my prenatal class and saw a familiar pair of red high heels toppled on the carpet. They were Chloe's, my stepsister's. A wisp of black lace was still caught on the toe. My heart sank. The living room was empty. Only the master bedroom door was ajar, and muffled, yet familiar. Gasps drifted from inside. My blood rushed to my head, and a chill spread through my limbs. The baby in my womb seemed to sense my emotions, giving me an uneasy kick. I instinctively caressed my belly, inching toward that door. The sounds inside grew clearer, like a dull knife repeatedly carving into my heart. Ethan, easy now. It was Chloe's seductively sweet voice. You little temptress. Weren't you the one who told me to be forceful? That voice was Ethan's. My husband. All the strength drained out of me in an instant. The shopping bag in my hand dropped to the floor with a thud. The baby bottles, toys, and tiny clothes scattered everywhere. The sounds from behind the door came to an abrupt halt. A few seconds later, the door was yanked open. Ethan stood there, bare-chested, with only a towel wrapped around his waist. When he saw me, there wasn't a trace of panic on his face, only annoyance. What are you doing back in the middle of the day? Don't you know how to knock? Behind him, Chloe was casually slipping into my silk robe, the one I had specifically bought for comfort during my pregnancy. Her hair was disheveled, her neck covered in glaring red marks. She looked at me with an expression full of defiance and the smugness of a victor. Sister, you're back. I stared at the complete mess they had made on our marital bed, and my stomach churned violently. On that bed lay the baby-changing pad I had just washed clean. Disgust, endless disgust. Trembling with rage, I pointed at them, unable to utter a single word, but pulled Chloe into his arms and glanced at me with disgust. What are you staring at? So what if you saw us? Don't make such a fuss. His flippant tone was like a bucket of ice water poured over me, from head to toe. This was the man I had loved for 5 years. The man I had sworn to spend my life with. Ethan. We're not divorced yet. And she's my sister. My voice trembled with anger. Divorce? Don't get ahead of yourself. Ethan sneered. Your child isn't even born yet. What divorce? He sized me up, his gaze like that of someone assessing a worthless commodity. Besides, you're carrying a daughter, a mere drain on resources. Chloe is different. She said she could give me a healthy baby boy. Chloe leaned into his embrace, her hand playfully tracing circles on his chest. Sister, don't blame Ethan. That's just how men are. They always need someone to care for them. You're pregnant, and many things are inconvenient. I'm just helping you out. Her voice was soft and clingy, every word like a poison needle piercing my ears. Your figure has changed since you got pregnant, and you have spots on your face. Ethan finds you unappealing. I'm doing this for the good of our family. I looked at their hideous display, snuggled together, and my heart felt like it was being squeezed in a vice, making it hard to breathe. Just then, the doorbell rang. Ethan impatiently went to open the door, and Martha, my mother-in-law, walked in, carrying a thermos. She saw the scene in the room, froze for a moment, and then immediately understood. I thought she would at least scold Ethan, but she just rushed over to me and roughly pulled me aside. You jinx, you came home without even calling first. What if you upset my son? I stumbled from her push, and my belly hit the sharp corner of the shoe cabinet. A sharp pain shot through me. I cried out, clutching my stomach and crouching down. Ethan and Chloe didn't even spare me a glance. Martha just gave me an impatient look, her attention entirely on her precious son. Son, are you all right? I stewed some nutritious tonic soup for you. Drink it while it's hot and get your strength back. She pulled Ethan to the sofa and tenderly wiped the sweat from his forehead. Then she walked back to me, her face full of contempt. So what if a man plays around a bit? It's no big deal. That's just how men are. Just tolerate it. As long as you quietly give birth to my grandson, Archon family won't forget your contributions, and this house will still be yours to manage. If you dare to cause trouble, If you dare to harm even a hair on my grandson's head, I'll fight you to the death. I looked up at her, harsh face, then at the shameless couple on the sofa, oblivious to everything as they nuzzled together. They were a family. I was the outsider. I looked at them and suddenly felt calm. I even managed to smile. I leaned against the wall, slowly, painstakingly standing up. Martha was startled by my smile. "What are you laughing at? Have you gone mad?" I ignored her, walked straight into the bathroom, and closed the door. In the mirror was a pale, exhausted woman with dark circles under her eyes and pregnancy spots on her face. I turned on the faucet and repeatedly splashed cold water on my face. The icy touch brought me back to full awareness. I pulled out my phone and dialed a reputable private hospital. "Hello, I'd like to schedule an induced abortion as soon as possible." I booked a room at a hotel and threw myself onto the soft bed. The baby in my womb started to become active again, her little feet kicking my belly again and again. I placed my hand on my stomach, feeling that vibrant life. Tears silently streamed down my face. "I'm sorry, baby. Mommy can't let you come into this unwanted world. Mommy can't let you call that man, who's worse than an animal, your father." My phone vibrated incessantly with calls from Ethan and Martha. I answered none of them, simply turning off my phone. The world was finally quiet. The next morning, I went to the hospital. The doctor looked at my 8-month pregnant belly. Her brows furrowed. "Madam, are you sure you want to proceed with an induced abortion? You are in your late 3rd trimester, and the baby is almost fully formed. An induced abortion will cause significant harm to your body." "I'm certain." My voice was calm, without a ripple of emotion. "Also, our hospital policy requires the husband's signature and consent for late-term abortions." "My husband is dead." I lied without batting an eye. The doctor was stunned and looked at me with sympathy. "Well then, all right. You'll need to sign a risk disclosure and a surgical consent form." I took the pen, signed my name, Grace, without hesitation. Each stroke felt like a farewell to the past. Leaving the hospital, I didn't go home but went directly to a law firm. I handed the lawyer all the evidence of Ethan's marital infidelity, including the photos and videos I took yesterday. "I want a divorce, and I want half of our marital assets. Not a penny less." The lawyer looked at my swollen abdomen, hesitating to speak. "Ms. Lynn, your baby. Legally, you have the right to demand child support from him." "It won't be necessary." I interrupted him. "I don't want this child." A flicker of shock crossed the lawyer's eyes, but his professional demeanor prevented him from asking further. "All right. I understand. I will draft the divorce agreement for you as soon as possible and file a lawsuit with the court." By the time everything was handled, it was already afternoon. I returned to that so-called home, ready to pack my belongings. Ethan and Martha were there, and so was Chloe. They seemed to be holding a family meeting. When they saw me, Martha immediately stood up. "You finally decided to come back. You wouldn't answer your phone. Where did you run off to? Do you still consider me your mother-in-law?" Ethan's face was also grim. "Grace, have you caused enough trouble? Yesterday was my fault, but you can't be so unreasonable. Go apologize to my mom, and this matter will be over." Chloe sat by, feigning concern. "Sister, don't be angry. Ethan just made a mistake. Please forgive him. You're still pregnant. What if you hurt yourself getting angry?" They played off each other, as if I were the one being unreasonable. I looked at their hypocritical faces and found it utterly ridiculous. I said nothing, walked straight into the bedroom, and pulled out my suitcase. Martha saw me packing and instantly grew anxious, rushing over to block me. "What are you doing? Trying to run away?" "I'm telling you, Grace, if you dare walk out that door today, don't ever think about coming back." "Who said I'm coming back?" I replied coldly, throwing my clothes from the closet into the suitcase one by one. Ethan's face completely darkened. He probably didn't expect me, usually so submissive, to speak to him like this. He walked over, snatched the clothes from my hand, and flung them violently to the floor. "Grace, don't push your luck. I'm giving you an out, so take it. Do you really have to make this so ugly?" I looked at him and suddenly felt very tired. I was too weary to argue with them anymore. I pulled 2 documents from my bag and tossed them onto the coffee table. One was the induced abortion consent form. The other was the divorce agreement. On the coffee table, the black text on white paper was glaringly conspicuous. Ethan and Martha didn't react at first. Martha picked up the abortion consent form, squinting at it for a long time. "Induced abortion? What is this? When she read the contents, her face instantly went white. You're going to abort my grandson? She shrieked, her voice piercing my eardrums. Ethan snatched the document from her hand, his own hand trembling. Grace, are you insane? He rushed towards me, his eyes bloodshot, and grabbed my wrist. That's my Chen family's bloodline. You're just going to discard it? My wrist throbbed from his grip, but I didn't struggle. I simply looked at him calmly, as if watching a clown. Your family's bloodline? I scoffed. Ethan, are you even worthy? Chloe also edged closer, and when she saw the contents of the consent form, she feigned surprise, covering her mouth. Sister, how can you be so cruel? That's a life. Even if you don't care about the baby, you should think of Ethan. Think of the Chen family. You shut up. I violently shook off Ethan's hand and turned to Chloe. This is none of your business. I had never spoken to her in such a harsh tone. She gasped, startled, and shrank behind Ethan. Martha had recovered from her shock by now, and she lunged at me, trying to scratch me. You venomous woman. I'll kill you if you dare harm my grandson. I'm not done with you. I was prepared. Sidestepping her, she missed and nearly fell. Don't you want a son? I watched them running around like headless chickens, the smile on my lips growing colder. Didn't Chloe say she could give you one? Go have her give birth for you. Anyway, the one in my belly is just an unwanted drain on resources. It's better not to suffer in this world. I threw their own words back at them, exactly as they had said them yesterday. Ethan's face cycled through shades of green and white. He pointed at me, too furious to speak. You, me what? I met his gaze, every word clear as day. And, I just got the genetic report. I paused, satisfied to see their tense and bewildered expressions. Then, I dropped a real bombshell. Ethan, you are completely infertile. The entire living room fell into dead silence. The air seemed to freeze. Ethan's anger froze, replaced by bewilderment and disbelief. What did you say? Martha was also stunned, staring blankly at me, as if she hadn't understood my words. I pulled another document from my bag, a diagnosis report the doctor had given me after I secretly consulted them with his physical exam report. I slapped that diagnosis report hard against his face. See for yourself. You, Ethan, have severe azoospermia. The paper fluttered lightly to the floor. The 4 large characters azoospermia on it were like a resounding slap across Ethan's and Martha's faces. Ethan stiffly lowered his head and picked up the diagnosis report from the floor. His gaze was fixated on those words, as if trying to burn through the paper. Impossible. This is impossible. He mumbled, his face as white as paper. This must be fake. You forged it. He suddenly looked up, his eyes filled with frantic denial. Grace, to get back at me, you used such despicable tactics. You're truly malicious. Martha also seemed to snap back to reality, pointing at me and cursing. Exactly. This wretch forged it. My son is perfectly healthy. How could he not be able to have children? You're just jealous of Chloe's youth and beauty, trying to ruin my son. I watched their last struggles, finding it pathetic and laughable. Don't you know in your heart whether it's forged or not? I turned to Ethan. We've been married for 5 years, and we've never used contraception. Why haven't I gotten pregnant? Every time, you claimed I had a problem, dragging me to the hospital again and again for various tests. My test results were all normal. Do you dare to show yours? Ethan's lips trembled, unable to speak. A year ago, you had a company physical, and you hid that report so carefully. Did you think I didn't know? I saw it long ago, but I loved you, and I didn't want to expose you. Didn't want to hurt your pathetic ego. My voice grew louder, the years of accumulated grievances and indignation erupting at that moment. To give you a child, to make you a father, to stop your mother from constantly pointing her finger at me and calling me a barren woman. I secretly underwent IVF, hiding it from all of you. I pulled out another thick stack of documents from my bag and threw them forcefully onto the coffee table. They were all the IVF procedure records, payment receipts, and the donor's information. I was afraid of hurting your pride, so I even spent a fortune choosing the sperm from a sperm bank. I chose the highest quality elite Ivy graduate, 6 feet 1 inch tall, no bad habits, no family history of genetic diseases. I went through so much pain, endured so many needles, just to get pregnant with this child. I thought that after I did all this for you, you would cherish it, you would be grateful. And what did I get? I laughed through my tears, pointing at Chloe, whose face was pale on the sofa. Instead, you turned around and got involved with this woman. And you called the child I'm carrying a drain on resources. Ethan, tell me, what right do you have to say that? Ethan collapsed to the floor, staring at the documents, his eyes empty, as if his soul had been sucked out. He had always thought he was very capable, pushing all the blame for infertility onto me. Now, the truth was brutally laid bare before him, shattering all his proud illusions. Martha was also stunned, her hands trembling. She picked up the documents, flipping through them one by one, continuously muttering, "Impossible. My grandson. My grandson." Her longed-for grandson, it turned out, was impossible from the very beginning. Her proud son was nothing but a barren good-for-nothing. This blow was devastating to her. Watching their breakdown, I felt no satisfaction, only a desolate chill. I walked up to them, looking down at them from above. Now, the child in my belly is the Chen family's only hope, and I've decided I don't want it. My voice was soft, yet it was like a heavy hammer smashing into their hearts. Ethan, Martha, I'm telling you, now, your Chen family truly faces the end of the family line. After I uttered my last sentence, the entire world went silent. Ethan lay on the floor like a puddle of mud. Martha clutched the diagnosis report tightly, her body trembling violently, her eyes wide like brass bells, staring blankly at me, making hoarse, guttural sounds in her throat. Suddenly, her eyes rolled back, and she collapsed backward, stiff as a board. "Mom!" Ethan screamed, scrambling over to help her. Chloe also shrieked in fright, and the scene descended into chaos. I watched it all with cold indifference, then turned and dragged my suitcase. "Grace, don't go!" Ethan, cradling his mother, roared at me. "If anything happens to my mom, I won't let you off." I stopped, turning back to him. "If something happens to her, it's because of you and the woman next to you, not me. And don't forget to sign the divorce agreement." I pulled open the door and walked out without looking back. Behind me, I heard Ethan's desperate roar and the wail of an ambulance siren. That day, the sun was shining brightly. I walked out of the cage that had held me captive for 5 years and took a deep breath of fresh, free air. Martha eventually suffered a sudden stroke, leaving her half paralyzed, her mouth and eyes askew, and her speech unclear. She lay in her hospital bed. The only thing she did all day was point her one good right hand at Ethan and Chloe, muttering incoherent curses. The news of Ethan's infertility somehow spread, and overnight, he became the laughingstock of the entire city. Everywhere he went, he felt strange looks and heard whispers behind his back. He became irritable and prone to fits of rage, making frequent mistakes at work, and was soon fired from his company. As for Chloe, she thought she had caught a wealthy catch, only to find he was all show and no substance. Ethan took all his anger out on her. They argued constantly every day, even resorting to physical fights. My divorce case proceeded exceptionally smoothly. With clear evidence of Ethan's marital infidelity, I was awarded half of our marital assets, including the house we had once chosen together. The day I received my divorce certificate, Ethan ambushed me outside the county clerk's office. He was thinner and more haggard. In just 1 month, he seemed to have aged 10 years. "Grace, I was wrong." He grabbed my arm, his eyes bloodshot. "Can we get back together? Give me another chance. Didn't you abort the baby? We can do IVF again. I'll listen to whatever you say. I promise I'll never make a mistake again." I looked at him, feeling incredibly ironic. If only he had known then what he knew now. I peeled his fingers off my arm, one by one. "Ethan, we're over. Don't you want a son? Let give you one." I turned to leave, but he chased after me, suddenly kneeling before me and hugging my legs. "Grace, I'm begging you, don't go. I have nothing left now. I lost my job. My mom is paralyzed. Everyone is laughing at me. I only have you." He cried, tears and snot streaming down his face, like a child abandoned by the world. Passers-by stared with curious gazes. I just felt a wave of disgust. "Let go." My voice was devoid of any warmth, but he clung tighter. "I won't let go, unless you promise me, Grace. I can't live without you, and especially not without a child." I looked at his shameless behavior and completely lost patience. I took out my phone, opened a video, and turned the volume to max. It was the video from that day at home, when he had his arm around Chloe and told me, "Anyway, you're just having a daughter, a drain on resources. The clear dialogue played on a loop outside the county clerk's office. Ethan's crying stopped abruptly. Anyway, you're just having a daughter, a drain on resources. Chloe said she could give me a son. Ethan's self-righteous and contemptuous face clearly appeared on the phone screen. The hand clutching my leg instantly stiffened. The curious crowd around us erupted in whispers. Who is this guy? His wife is 8 months pregnant, and he cheats and says things like that? From the sound of it, the mistress is the wife's sister? What a mess. He can't have kids himself, but he's complaining his wife is having a daughter. What a piece of work. Serves him right. A man like that deserves the end of his family line. Each comment was like a knife, stabbing at Ethan. His face turned from beet red to a sickly purplish red, and finally, completely white. He abruptly let go of me, trying to snatch my phone, but I nimbly dodged him. Grace, turn off the video, he hissed, his voice filled with fear and pleading. He was scared that his last shred of dignity would be gone. I looked at him coldly and put away my phone. Ethan, you look truly pathetic right now. I walked around him and headed straight for my car. He slowly got up from the ground, following me, looking utterly lost. Grace, I know I was wrong. I really do. Give me another chance. One last chance. I opened the car door and got in. He leaned against the car window, pleading desperately. Let's start over. I'll be good to you, good to the child. We can be like we used to be, all right? Used to be? I started the car, rolled down the window a crack, and looked at his hypocritical face. Used to be when you complacently enjoyed my efforts, but secretly cheated with other women, and blamed your infertility on me? Ethan, you don't need a child. You just can't accept the fact that you're a good-for-nothing. What you wanted was never a family, but a womb to carry on your family line, and a tool to prove your manhood. I stepped on the gas, and the car slowly drove away. In the rearview mirror, Ethan's figure grew smaller. He ran after the car for a few steps, then collapsed to his knees in despair. I didn't look back. From now on, that man had nothing to do with me anymore. I listed the house I received in the divorce with a real estate agent and sold it as quickly as possible. I didn't want any more ties to that city. With the money, I moved to Seaview, a coastal town where no one knew me. I rented a house with an ocean view, and listening to the waves every day, my spirits gradually calmed. I had not gone through with the induced abortion. The day I left the hospital, I regretted it. I hated Ethan, Martha, and Chloe, but I couldn't transfer that hatred onto an innocent life. She was my child, and only mine. I just wanted to use the abortion consent form to deliver the most crushing blow to that family. I had lied to them, and I had lied to the lawyer. Now, my objective was achieved. All I wanted was to quietly give birth to my child. I began to focus on my pregnancy, taking daily walks, doing yoga, and reading parenting books. I prepared the softest clothes and the safest crib for my baby. As my belly grew larger day by day, my heart grew softer yet firmer. On my due date, I went to the hospital alone, carrying my hospital bag. When contractions came, I was drenched in sweat from the pain, but I didn't cry. I told myself, and the baby in my belly, that we had to be strong. 10 hours later, a loud cry echoed through the delivery room. Congratulations. It's a beautiful baby girl. The nurse brought a wrinkled little one to me. I looked at her, and my tears finally broke through. My daughter, my darling, welcome to the world. My daughter's birth was like a ray of light that illuminated my dark world. I named her Mia, meaning cherished thought or remembrance. I hoped she would always be treasured and held dear in people's hearts. Life in postpartum recovery was peaceful. My days consisted of feeding, changing diapers, and watching Mia grow little by little. She was a good baby, rarely fussy, her dark, grape-like eyes always curiously observing the world. She would smile at me and tightly grasp my finger with her tiny hand. Every time this happened, all my fatigue and sorrow melted away. After my postpartum recovery period, I used the money from selling the house to buy a small apartment by the sea. I also opened a small flower shop, right below my apartment building. Life wasn't rich, but it was tranquil. I thought I would never cross paths with Ethan and his family again, until one day, an unexpected person found my flower shop. It was Chloe. She looked much more haggard than before, dressed in cheap clothes, and even heavy makeup couldn't hide her exhaustion. When she saw me, she paused, then her gaze fell on Mia, whom I was holding. Her eyes held a complex mix of jealousy, resentment, and a hint of venomous malice. "Sister, you didn't abort the baby?" What business is it of yours? I held Mia closer, stepping back, eyeing her warily. You seem to be doing quite well. She looked around my flower shop, saying with a sour tone. I didn't want to waste words with her. What are you doing here? She rubbed her hands, looking somewhat apprehensive. Sister, I came to ask you to save Ethan. Save him? I scoffed, as if I'd heard the most ridiculous joke. What happened to him? Doesn't he have you? His capable wife who can give him a son? Chloe's face went pale, and her eyes reddened. After you left, he went mad, lost his job, and drinks at home every day, hitting me when he's drunk. She pulled up her sleeve, revealing arms bruised all over. His mom is paralyzed in bed. She needs constant care, doing her basic needs in bed, and the stench is unbearable. I can't take it anymore. I want to leave, but he confiscated my ID card and won't let me go. Sister, please, I beg you, go see him. He only thinks of you. He won't listen to anyone else now. Only you can talk sense into him. As she spoke, she made to kneel before me, holding the baby. I quickly moved away. Chloe, have you forgotten who was lying in his bed, bragging to me? Who said my figure had changed, that I was past my prime, and offered to help me out? This was your choice. You made your bed. Now you come to beg me? Don't you think that's laughable? My words, like a knife, pierced through her last shred of pretense. Her expression instantly turned ferocious. Grace, don't get so smug. Do you really think you're doing so well now? Do you think it's easy for a woman to raise a child alone? Ethan said he won't let you off. What he can't have, no one else will either. Her words made my heart tighten. What do you mean? Chloe suddenly gave a strange smile. He couldn't find you, so he sent me to. He said he would make you regret it for the rest of your life. As she spoke, she pulled something from her bag. It was a small voice recorder. She pressed play. Ethan's chilling voice came from it. Find her. Tell her I won't get a divorce. I'll drag her down. Make sure she can never shake off being a Chin family daughter-in-law for the rest of her life. And that illegitimate child. I'll demand a paternity test. If it's not mine, I'll sue her for marital infidelity and ruin her reputation. I'll make sure she and that illegitimate child can never hold their heads high again. In the voice recorder, Ethan's voice was full of venomous hatred and madness. My heart sank little by little. I had underestimated his shamelessness and maliciousness. Chloe looked at my pale face and smiled triumphantly. Did you hear that? He's like a mad dog now, biting anyone he can get his teeth into. If you don't want him to bite you, you'd better go back and beg him. If you're willing to go back and care for his mom and live a good life with him, he might let you off the hook. Holding my sleeping daughter, I trembled with rage. You wish? Then don't blame us for being impolite. Chloe put away the voice recorder, her eyes like a viper's. Ethan said he's already hired a private investigator, and he'll find your address soon. When that happens, he'll come with people to snatch the child. He said even if it's not his, he'll raise her by his side, making sure you never see her again. He wants you to taste what it's like to lose your own flesh and blood. With that, she swayed her hips and left triumphantly. In the flower shop, I was left alone, holding my child, standing rooted to the spot, my entire body cold. I couldn't let him find me. I couldn't let him snatch my Mia. I immediately closed the flower shop and rushed home to pack my things. I had to leave here at once. I stuffed all my cash and bank cards into my bag, grabbed Mia, and rushed out. But as soon as I opened the door, I saw the person I least wanted to see in this life. Ethan. He blocked my doorway, with two tall men behind him. He looked even more wasted than last time, his eyes sunken, his face unshaven, reeking of alcohol and mold. When he saw Mia in my arms, his eyes instantly reddened. It was a gaze mixed with jealousy, anger, and madness. Grace, you actually dared to give birth to this illegitimate child. His voice was hoarse, like sandpaper rubbing together. Where do you think you're running off to? I instinctively tightened my embrace around Mia, retreating step by step. Ethan, we're divorced. What else do you want? Divorced? He laughed as if he'd heard a joke, pulling a piece of paper from his pocket and unfolding it in front of me. It wasn't a divorce certificate. It was a withdrawal of lawsuit. I unilaterally withdrew the divorce application. So, Grace, you are still Ethan's wife. My mind buzzed. A complete blank. How dare you? Because of this, he pointed at Mia in my arms. His face contorted in a grimace. You committed marital infidelity and gave birth to an illegitimate child. I have the right to refuse the divorce. I'll make sure you carry this stain for the rest of your life. The two men behind him advanced toward me step by step. Give me the child. Ethan reached out to me, his tone brooking no argument. Never, I shrieked, turning to run back inside. But it was too late. One man grabbed my arm, and the other violently snatched Mia from my arms. Mia woke up, letting out heart-wrenching cries. Mia! My heart felt like it was being ripped open. I fought like a madwoman to get her back. But the man held me in a death grip. Let me go! Give me back my child! Ethan held the crying Mia, a smug, twisted smile on his face. Grace, I told you before, I'll make you regret it for the rest of your life. From today on, this illegitimate child belongs to me. I'll raise her well, making sure you live in longing and pain every day. He held my daughter, turned, and walked away. No, Ethan, give me back my child, I screamed in despair, watching my daughter, Mia, drift further and further away from me. Her cries were like a knife, slowly tearing me apart. I was pushed to the ground by two men, who then left with Ethan. In the hallway, only my desperate sobs remained, and Mia's cries fading further and further into the distance. In that moment, my world crumbled. I don't know how I managed to get up from the ground. I rushed downstairs like a madwoman. Ethan's car had just started, and I threw myself in front of it, gripping the hood tightly. Ethan, give me back my child, you animal! Ethan leaned out of the car window, his face alight with the thrill of revenge. Grace, if you're so tough, just stay sprawled there. Let's see how long you can last. He actually stepped on the gas. The car lurched forward, and I was thrown by the inertia, hitting the ground hard. My head struck the stone steps by the roadside, and warm liquid trickled down my forehead. My vision blurred. The last thing I saw was Ethan's cold, heartless face, and Mia's tiny, blurry figure in the car. I woke up again in a hospital. My head was wrapped in thick bandages, and a man in a police uniform sat by my hospital bed. Grace, you're awake. My memories flooded back instantly. My child! Where's my child? I sat up abruptly, grabbing the officer's arm. Calm down, the officer reassured me. Your child has been rescued and is safe now. I breathed a sigh of relief, my body going limp. What about Ethan? Ethan has been criminally detained on suspicion of child abduction and intentional assault. The officer told me that a neighbor saw me get hit by the car and called the police. Based on the license plate number provided by the neighbor, the police quickly intercepted Ethan's car at the highway exit. Additionally, the officer took a document from his briefcase. This is a lawsuit filed by Ethan's mother, Martha, delivered by her lawyer. I took it and glanced at it. She was suing me for abandonment charges. It claimed that I, fully aware of Ethan's infertility, deliberately conceived a child using a sperm bank, and after the child's birth, attempted to flee with the child and our marital assets, constituting malicious abandonment of a family member. Absurd. Ridiculous. Grace, the officer continued, while this lawsuit is absurd, we still need your cooperation with the investigation. The most crucial point is that your daughter's birth certificate has a blank space for the father, and legally, you and Mr. Ethan are still married. The officer's words sent a chill down my spine. To protect Mia, I didn't want her name associated with that repulsive man, Ethan, so I didn't fill in the father's information at the time. I never imagined this would become his weapon against me. As long as our marriage legally stands, he, as her legal husband, has the right to fight for Mia's custody, and I, tainted by the accusation of marital infidelity, would likely lose the case. I clenched the bedsheet tightly. I couldn't let them take Mia away. Absolutely not. I looked at the officer and took a deep breath. Officer, I have a request. I want to see Ethan. I saw Ethan at the detention center. He was wearing a prison uniform, handcuffed, looking utterly broken, as if all the life had been drained out of him, separated by a thick pane of glass. He saw me, and hatred instantly flared in his eyes. Grace, you bitch, you ruined me. He lunged at the glass, his face contorted in a grotesque snarl, as if he wanted to tear through it and devour me. I picked up the phone, my voice calm. Ethan, let's talk. I have nothing to talk about with you. He roared. Just you wait. When I get out, I'll kill you and that illegitimate child. You won't be getting out. I said calmly. Child abduction. Intentional assault, with multiple counts. That's enough to keep you in here for several years. His bravado immediately deflated, but he still tried to sound tough. So what? My mom has already sued you. You committed marital infidelity and abandoned an elder. The judge won't grant you custody of the child. When all is said and done, Mia will still be a chin. Is that so? I offered a slight smile, then took something from my bag and showed it to him through the glass. It was a DNA paternity test report. Ethan's pupils constricted sharply. What is this? It's the DNA test report for my daughter, Mia, and you. I told him clearly, word by word. I anticipated you'd pull something like this. So after you abducted Mia, and the police rescued her, I immediately requested an expedited test. I turned to the last page of the report and pointed to the conclusion. The results support that you are Mia's biological father. On the other end of the line, there was a deathly silence. Ethan's eyes widened as if they would pop out. He stared intently at the report, his expression shifting from shock to euphoria, then to disbelief. I'm her dad? I'm really her dad? His voice trembled, almost incoherent. I have a child? I'm not a failure? He seemed to have clutched at a final straw, completely enveloped in a delirious joy. Ha 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 ha, I have a daughter. Grace, do you hear me? I have a daughter. He laughed wildly, tears streaming down his face from the sheer joy. I watched his performance coldly. That's right. She's your daughter. So, are you still going to sue me now? Are you still going to fight her own mother, your biological daughter's mother, for custody? Ethan's laughter abruptly ceased. He looked at me, his eyes full of complex emotions. Grace. His tone softened. Since the child is mine, then there is no us. I interrupted him. Ethan, I'm here today to give you one last choice. First, you and your mother must immediately drop all lawsuits against me. You willingly give up custody of Mia and sign the divorce papers. In exchange, I will provide a letter of understanding that could reduce your sentence by a few years. Second, I paused, looking into his eyes. You can continue to sue me, and we'll see each other in court. I will hand over your azoospermia diagnosis report and all the evidence of me undergoing IVF to have a child for you to the judge. Then, tell me, will the judge believe this fabricated DNA report, or a mountain of evidence? Who do you think the world will believe? A man who suddenly has a child despite being infertile, or a woman who loved him so humbly that she fabricated a report to protect her child? You choose. I finished speaking and looked at him calmly. Reflected in the glass window was his face, contorted by shock and fear. He stared intently at me, as if trying to find a flaw in my expression, but there was none. On my face, there was only cold resolve. After a long silence, he dropped his head dejectedly, his entire posture crumbling. I'll sign. Ethan eventually signed the divorce papers, the statement relinquishing custody, and a letter of apology written to me. I provided him with the letter of understanding. He was ultimately sentenced to 3 years. As for Martha, his mother, when she learned that her only hope, her supposed granddaughter, was a lie I fabricated to escape, her already stroke-afflicted body suffered another severe blow. She became completely paralyzed and bedridden, a vegetative state where she could only drool. After was imprisoned, Chloe absconded with the last bit of money from the house and disappeared without a trace. I heard she later got involved with a wealthy old man, but not long after, his wife broke her legs, and she met a miserable end. As for me, I took my Mia and completely left the city that had left me so scarred. I started anew in Seaview. My flower shop business flourished, and I hired 2 employees, giving me more time to spend with Mia. Mia grew quickly. She learned to walk, and she learned to say mama. She inherited excellent genes from her donor, smart and beautiful, a little angel in everyone's eyes. One sunny afternoon, I was playing with Mia on the beach. A gentle man approached. He smiled and asked if I was Grace. I was stunned. He introduced himself as Daniel, a pediatrician. He said he'd been following my flower shop for a while, that he loved flowers, and that he especially liked my smile, which made my eyes crinkle. My heart skipped a beat. Later, he became a regular customer at my flower shop. He would bring delicious cakes to visit Mia and patiently spend afternoons building sandcastles with her. Mia adored him, constantly calling out uncle, uncle. The day he proposed to me, there was no grand ceremony, just a bouquet of my favorite sunflowers. Grace, he said, kneeling on one knee, his eyes sincere. I don't care about your past. I just want to be a part of your future. I can't give her a biological father, but I swear I will love and protect her as if she were my own daughter. Give me a chance to build a family with us, okay? I looked at him, my eyes welling up. Mia clapped her tiny hands nearby, piping up in her sweet voice, "Marry him, marry him," smiling through my tears. I nodded. We got married. Daniel kept his promise. He cherished Mia as his own, giving her all his paternal love. Our home was always filled with laughter and joy. Years later, Ethan was released from prison. He eventually tracked me down. That day, Daniel and I were flying a kite with Mia in the park. He stood not far off, like a dark shadow. He had aged considerably, his hair mostly gray, his eyes clouded. He watched our happy family of 3, watched Mia, held high above Daniel's head and laughing brightly, and his eyes filled with regret and pain. He didn't come forward. He just stood far away, watching for a very long time, until the sun set. He finally stooped his back and turned to leave. The man I once loved so deeply, and hated so intensely, finally became a blurred figure, irrelevant to me. Sunlight bathed me, warm and comforting. Daniel hugged me from behind, and Mia nestled into my embrace, giving me a big kiss. I smiled. This time, it was a genuine smile, from the bottom of my heart. The unbearable past was finally buried completely, and I, at last, embraced my own brand new life. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any thoughts about this story, feel free to share them in the comments section. Here is Roses and Love, sharing stories about marriage and women every day. See you tomorrow.